The wind that swept across the Arizona plains that evening carried more than dust and silence, it carried desperation. In a secluded Apache village near the foot of the Dragoon Mountains, a young girl named Ayanna stood before a circle of elders, her heart trembling like the flame of a dying candle. She was barely 17, yet her spirit burned fierce as the desert sun. Her father, the tribal leader, had arranged her marriage to Chief Neshoba, a man 3 times her age, known for his cruelty, feared by warriors and despised by women. Ayanna's mother had wept in silence, but tradition bound her voice. The drums began to beat, a rhythm of fate, not celebration. Ayanna stood tall in her ceremonial dress, her eyes fixed on the horizon, rather than the man she was to marry. Her heart whispered for freedom. Somewhere beyond those golden plains, she had once seen a man, a cowboy, with kind eyes and a gray beard, who had helped her tribe once during a drought. He had no reason to, yet he did. His name was Jack Callahan, a loner rancher who lived near the canyon. She remembered the way he looked at her tribe, not with pity, not with superiority, but with respect. That memory lingered like a forbidden dream. That night, while the stars burned above like watchful spirits, Ayanna ran. Her bare feet cut through dry thorns, her breath heavy, heart pounding with fear and defiance. She carried nothing but a small pouch of cornmeal and a charm her mother secretly pressed into her palm, a bluestone said to guide lost souls. Behind her, angry shouts echoed as warriors lit torches and spread across the plains to find her. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew she couldn't stay. The moon guided her toward the canyon, where the cowboy's ranch stood like a promise of something different. By dawn, her legs gave way near a creek. The cold water revived her, but exhaustion pinned her down. Just as her vision began to fade, the sound of hoofbeats approached, steady, deliberate. When she looked up, she saw him, Jack Callahan, tall in the saddle, his hat shadowing his weathered face. His horse snorted, halting near her as he dismounted and knelt beside her. "You're far from home, aren't you?" he said softly, handing her his canteen. Ayanna's lips trembled. "They want me to marry a man I do not love. I'd rather die than belong to him." Jack studied her eyes. He saw no weakness there, only raw courage. He knew helping her meant trouble. The Apache were proud and territorial. Sheltering a runaway girl was as dangerous as crossing the river in flood season. But something in her voice, something in her desperation, stirred the old protector in him. The part of him that once believed in doing what was right even when it cost him. "Then you're not dying today," he said firmly. He lifted her onto his horse, wrapping his coat around her shivering shoulders. The sun broke over the ridge as they rode away, leaving the canyon glowing in firelight. The chase had begun. By the time the Apache scouts discovered her tracks, Jack and Ayanna had crossed the dry valley toward his ranch. They arrived under the scorching midday sun. The old ranch, surrounded by sagebrush and the sound of wind, had not seen another soul in years. Jack helped her down and gave her water, jerky, and rest. "You're safe here," he said. But safety was temporary. Ayanna knew her people would not stop. She feared for him more than herself. "If they find you with me," she whispered, "they will kill you." Jack smiled faintly. "I've been close enough to death before. It never took me yet." That night, as she sat near the fire in his cabin, she asked, "Why do you help me, cowboy?" He stared into the flames. "Because I once loved a woman who wanted freedom, too, and I was too late to save her." His voice broke slightly, the memory heavy as smoke. Ayanna didn't ask more. She just listened, feeling a strange warmth between fear and gratitude. Outside, coyotes howled in the distance, and the stars bore silent witness to a bond neither of them planned, but both would soon have to fight, for morning came painted in gold and danger. Jack woke to the sound of horses, many of them. He looked out across the hills and saw the Apache riders forming a line, their spears glinting in the sun. Among them, Chief Neshoba rode at the front, his eyes burning with rage. "They found you," Jack muttered, loading his rifle. Ayanna stood beside him, trembling. "No, please do not fight them. They will kill you for my choice." Jack tightened his grip on the rifle but looked into her eyes. "There are some things worth standing for, girl. You deserve your own choice." She touched his hand, tears welling in her eyes. "Then I will stand beside you." The words hit him harder than any bullet. He could have sent her away, hidden her or surrendered, but he didn't. He saddled his horse and helped her up behind him once more, just as he did that first morning. The enemy drew closer, a cloud of dust rising like smoke from the earth. Jack's heart pounded as he spurred the horse toward the canyon. They galloped fast, bullets slicing the air behind them, the wind howling like a spirit's cry. Ayanna clung to him, whispering prayers in her native tongue. The horse's hooves thundered across rock and dirt, leaping over creeks, skirting cliffs. Jack's aim was not to fight, but to reach the river that marked U.S. territory. If they could cross, they'd be beyond Apache land. But fate had other plans. A bullet struck his shoulder, spinning him sideways. He nearly fell, but Ayanna held him tight, her cries breaking through the roar of pursuit. "Hold on!" she shouted, taking the reins herself. Jack gritted his teeth, blood soaking his sleeve. The horse charged forward as Ayanna steered toward the river. They reached the bank just as the warriors surrounded them. Neshoba dismounted, stepping closer. "You shame your blood, Ayanna," he roared. "You choose a white man over your own people?" Ayanna stood tall, tears streaking her dirt-stained face. "I choose my freedom. I choose my heart." Jack, barely standing, raised his head. "You can kill me," he said, voice low. "But you can't kill what she is." For a long moment, the warriors waited for Neshoba's command. Then from the hills, an elder voice called out. It was Ayanna's father. He had followed not to punish, but to see the truth. He looked upon his daughter, saw her bravery, and saw the man who would die for her. "Enough," he said, raising his hand. "Let her go. The spirits will judge their path," Neshoba protested, but the elder turned away. Slowly, one by one, the warriors lowered their weapons. Ayanna's tears fell as she looked back at her father, who simply nodded. Jack slumped in her arms, whispering, "Looks like you got your freedom after all." "Not yet," she said, holding him close as they crossed the river. Days later, Jack awoke in his cabin, his shoulder bandaged. Ayanna sat beside him, her eyes shining with relief. "You saved me," she said softly. "No," Jack murmured, smiling faintly. "You saved yourself. I just gave you a horse." She laughed through her tears. And for the first time in years, Jack felt the warmth of something he thought he'd lost: hope. Outside, the wind carried a soft hum from the plains, as if the spirits of the land themselves had blessed their escape.